Hello and welcome back. I hope you're all having a wonderful December. I hope your week is going well. I hope you're just having a general a-okay time. At the start of this video, you'll see I actually flip through all of the past paintings that I've been working on in these sketch and chat videos. That is simply because when I was doing my thumbnail last week, I realized that I most of the time drew the person. If I had a person in the piece, which I always have a person in the piece, I mostly drew them on the right side of the page. And so this time I wanted to flip through and make sure, I wanted to definitely draw them on the side that had the person on there least. Oh my goodness, I can't speak right now. But I, for some reason, was like, is it the right side? That should be it. And so I wanted to check before I started painting. And I am so glad I did because I was wrong. It's the left side. But that just left this really nice recap that you got to watch before you start this one, which is exciting because this is the penultimate, the second to last video that I'll be doing in this series, at least for a little bit. If you're curious about what I'm talking about, go back and check out last week's video, the Sketch and Chat 08. I talk about my plans for this series and this channel moving forward in the new year a lot in that one. So I'm not going to touch on it here, but if you're curious, that's where you can go. How about this weather we're having? It is absolutely lovely out. And of course, I am a huge fan of the cold. I live in Florida, which is absolutely the wrong place for someone like me to live. This morning, I woke up and it was 49 degrees Fahrenheit out. I know that's not cold for a lot of people, but that is very cold for people in Florida. We are all sticking inside. I watched a person walk outside this morning and then quickly turn around and come right back inside and said, "It is too cold to be outside today." And I know that sounds like a total joke because it's not even cold enough for snow. It's not cold enough for freezing. But I need to remind you guys that yesterday when I woke up, it was 79 degrees outside. So I think part of what makes it feel so cold is the abrupt change in temperature. So I'm sorry if you are not a fan of the cold and this time of year is making you miserable, but I'm quite enjoying it. And I'm also sorry if you're in the southern hemisphere and what I'm saying is making zero sense. Last I checked, I didn't have anybody watching my videos from the southern hemisphere, but maybe sometime in the future you'll be watching this and you'll be like, but it's warm in December. And I will say, I'm sorry I did not think of you when I first started talking about this, but I'm thinking about you right now. Let's start talking about this piece, actually. So I did really, really small thumbnails for this, and then I didn't go to a bigger sketching phase. And that is simply because I am so busy right now. It is the week before Christmas when I'm working on this. I no longer have any backlog, so I have to make a video every single week if I want to get it out to you. And I do want to get it out to you. So right now I am working on a ton of other things for myself and for the holiday and for family and for work. So this video just had to be a lot shorter and a lot simpler, and you'll notice that the length is about 10 minutes shorter than normal, and I think that's because I did come up with such a simple idea and I executed it quickly. I mean, I skipped the whole entire middle sketch phase. So yes, I knew that I wanted some blue down at the bottom. I wanted to have a darker skinned girl on the left side. I wanted to have black. I wanted to have a red background, and that I wanted her to have long hair. That was pretty much all that I had come up with. I searched on Pinterest and I found these really cool straight viney things that some people had drawn. After I remembered that I don't have green in this palette, I decided to make them blue, and on the right you'll see them eventually. And that's really as much as the planning went into the piece at the beginning. By the very end, I am happy with the outcome. It feels more simplistic compared to some of the other pages, but that isn't necessarily bad. I think that when you have a sketchbook, sometimes it's nice to have more detailed pages along with more simplistic pages. It just makes for a nice overall flip through. It's like when you listen to music, you have some heavy note parts and then you have some parts that are more quiet, or when you're reading a book and there'll be long sentences and short sentences. Why should my sketchbook be any different? So there are a few small things that I have complaints with and a few small things that I love. Just like every week I talk about this kind of stuff. I feel like her hand, I was trying to work with some foreshortening so it looks like it's a lot closer to you. I feel like I didn't execute that super well. I also think that I wish I had done a little bit more with the background. It's just very plain. I thought the plainness would look nice, but it ended up just looking plain. And then I feel like the page on the right is too simplistic for my taste. I'm trying to find that nice balance between details and simplistic. And I feel like the last 2 weeks I've done a really good job of having it right there in that sweet spot. So it was about time that I messed up and did a page that was too simplistic again. The last time I remember feeling like this was the one where I did the leaf element page. I believe that was week 4. It was the really tan girl with the crown, and then she had the leaf on the left. I really like the piece with the hearts, and I love the one with the broken mask and the one with the Roman numeral 4. Those all feel like I have a nice balance of it's simpler than the other page, so your eye isn't stuck on it. It leads you back to the main image, or it relates to the main image in some way, but it's not so simplistic that you're bored looking at it. And I think one of the things I was successful with was making the background more interesting than I did with this piece. Another small complaint I have is I tore the page again. I was using washi tape. I didn't think it would be a problem, but this paper really is not what I thought it would be with tape. And I think that's something I am just gonna have to live with. It's something that I'm not able to control anymore, and I'm just gonna have to make do with it and be as careful as I possibly can, but know that I'm going to tear the pages sometimes. So I'm actually 3 pages away, 3 spreads, not pages, I guess, 3 page turns from being halfway done with this sketchbook. That is so exciting to me. I feel like this is what happens a lot of times in sketchbooks is I start and I feel like there's so much to get through and I'm never going to do it. And then as I'm working, I don't notice the pages going by, I don't notice the days going by, and then suddenly I'm at the end or I'm at the halfway point and I'm like, I can't believe I only have half left to go, or I can't believe I have nothing left to go. And it's just, you know, I used to never finish sketchbooks, and in college I started forcing myself to, and I'm so glad because it is such a satisfying feeling. And if you've never finished a sketchbook, I recommend you challenge yourself to do that in 2020 or in the upcoming month, wherever you're at, because it is so absolutely satisfying to have this finished piece of work all bound together in a book. Okay, back to complaints. I only have one more, and I think that is I simplified her face just a little bit too much. Sometimes I look at it and I like it, and sometimes I look at it and I don't like it, so that's probably one of those things where I just have too many complaints about my own artwork. And if I was an outsider, I wouldn't be seeing what I'm seeing. Anyways, moving on. Even though I complain about the hand being not done correctly, I really like how it looks as a whole. I think I did a good job drawing the hand and I'm happy with it. I like the blue of her dress, and I like that I put the dots on it. You won't see that until the very, very end. And I really do like her nose. It's quite large for how I normally draw, and I definitely wish it was smaller, but I like how it looks. I'm working on getting a little bit more graphic, straight lines along with curves in my artwork, and I feel like this was a good step forward towards that. So I'm happy with that. I like the color combinations that I chose. I did a good job picking out this palette because I love the reds and the blues in this palette. They make me so happy, and they're definitely something I should explore more in the future, doing more pieces with a strong red and a strong blue. Finally, I also like that I got a dark-skinned character again. Finally, it's basically been since the first week. I think I did one when I did the 2 girls, but it wasn't really that dark. And even this one, I feel like I could have gone darker, but I've been trying to push myself to do dark skin recently, and it has not been working, so I'm glad this worked out. I like having a mix of skin tones in my work, and I like having this range of colors, so I don't know why I struggle to create different skin tones than just the like 2 that I'm used to. Well, I do know it's because I'm lazy, and that's no excuse, and I need to not have it anymore. So I'm glad I pushed myself, because I'm happy with how her skin turned out, and it's something I can reference in the future on future pieces. So if you guys listened to last week's video, you know that I was working on putting some originals up in my shop. As of the time of me recording this video, I only managed to do 2. I'm really hoping I can get another one up before this weekend, but I'm not sure. This week is going to be super busy and super hectic and super crazy, so hopefully I can do it, but I'm not totally sure. I actually ended up painting 3 mini originals, but the 3rd one just didn't feel like the same quality as the other 2, so I have her off to the side as just some practice work. And I'm really excited because soon you guys are going to be able to see some of that work. Hint, hint, that might be part of what my series in January is going to be about. Cough, that's all I'm going to say. But I am really super excited about these mini originals. I absolutely fell in love with the second one that I made, and I'm pretty sure that if it doesn't sell within the next maybe 2 months, that I'm gonna take it off of Etsy and keep it on my desk for myself forever, because I am so in love with it. Like, you guys have no idea. I am really happy with it. Even if someone buys it, I'm going to get a really nice print for myself. It's beautiful. It's green, which is odd. I never paint with green, but for some reason this time I decided to, and it turned out so well. Actually, I know exactly why I decided to. So I have this iridescent watercolor palette from Finetech, and it's beautiful. When I first bought it, I opened it up and it was all white, and I was like, oh my god, I just wasted a good chunk of money on this palette and I got nothing out of it. And then I started to use it, and I still kind of felt that way, because you can't see the paint unless you're from the side. Like, maybe you'll be able to see a small slight bit of it, but if you are at an angle or if it's in light, it shines gorgeously, and I absolutely love it. Love. And so I decided that with a lot of these mini originals, I'm going to be using this palette to just help bring some new life to some of the pieces and something a little bit different. And so this one that I painted, when you move it, oh, she just shines in the light, and it's so gorgeous. If you don't know the piece I am referencing, you can check it out on my Etsy and on my Instagram. Of course, if this is after February, possibly, I'll try to leave it up for 6 months, but possibly February of 2020, it's most likely not going to be on my shop anymore, because she's on my desk. I just sit and stare at her. She's one of my main references that I like looking at. By references, I mean I have a lot of artwork all over my desk and all around my art studio, and she's like front and center right now. I know she'll get moved eventually, but for right now, I really like looking at her. Wow, I don't know if I'm talking you guys into wanting to buy her or wanting her to be able to stay with me forever, but either way, she's really good. I don't even know exactly what I love so much. I need to sit down and make a list so that in the future I can make sure I do these kinds of things again, because you want to love your art. You don't want to sit and look at it and go, well, I wish it could be better in all of these ways. I mean, that helps you grow, and that is good, and is totally reasonable and everything, but I feel like that's how I always look at my art, where it's like, yeah, this is great, but, and I like having a piece where I look at it and I go, wow, I just really like it. And who knows, maybe in 2 months I'm going to look at it and I'm going to be like, oh, I really don't like it anymore, or I don't like it as much as I used to, so let's definitely keep it up for sale, because unfortunately that happens a lot. But I'm going to enjoy it while I can. It's going to sit on my desk for the foreseeable future. I actually also got a postcard. I follow a few artists on Patreon, and I've been getting postcards in the mail recently because of that, and I love them. I think that Patreon is a great way to support artists. I actually made a Patreon in September, but it was a lot of work. I didn't have any followers yet. I need to build my repertoire first, and then it's something I would definitely go back to in the future. Maybe in like a year I can go back and make it something much more than what it currently was. So to Patreon, yes, it's such an exciting thing though. I love getting art every single month. I've signed up, I think, for 2 different artists for their monthly postcards. So I get 2 postcards from 2 different artists every single month. And I also get to see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, which is so, so cool. It's really awesome. And I love that kind of stuff. I just love watching speed paints and speed drawings and all kinds of videos like that. And I really love listening to artists talk while they're doing it. A lot of times I will sit and draw and not even watch the video. And then sometimes I'll sit and stare at the video and listen to them, and sometimes I'll mute them and listen to my own music and watch them draw. It's just whatever I'm in the mood for, there's something for it. And it's just absolutely, it's a blessing. And I'm so glad that so many artists have been able to make a living and a career on YouTube, and being able to use Patreon to help bring in a little bit extra cash. I'm so happy I could support 2 of my favorite artists this way, and that it's a viable means to make a living today. This really wasn't a thing 20 years ago, and now it is. Although, if you guys want to hear something weird, I was reading an article for work the other day, and it said that 2002 was almost 20 years ago, and that made me realize that in the next 2 weeks, 2000 will be the year 2000. Let me make this obviously clear, unlike how I'm speaking. Let me make this obviously clear that I am talking about the year 2000 will be 20 years ago. And I cannot understand that. What? I was born in the 1990s. My brother was born in the 1980s. That was 20 years ago. The 1980s was 20 years ago. But it wasn't. 1980 exactly was 40 years ago. And I cannot handle that. There are people out there who can vote that were born in the 2000s. And that's so exciting. I'm so glad that they're getting to do these kinds of things and growing up and just getting to make a difference on this world. But at the same time, I just can't wrap my head around it. Anyways, I'm so glad you guys checked into this video. My voice is back. Isn't that really exciting? And we're getting to near the end of the video, so I'm gonna have to do my weekly wrap-up a little bit quicker than I normally do. Anyways, what am I reading, watching, and listening to this week? That's going to actually be really easy for me to say. So I am still listening to the podcast Ear Biscuits by Rhett and Link. Nothing has changed on that front, unfortunately for you. Fortunately for me, I'm really enjoying it. I highly recommend. I'm still watching Peaky Blinders. I think I've watched 1 or 2 more episodes since last week, so nothing's really changed with that. And the final thing is, what am I reading? I am reading the 3rd book in this series that I have been reading for a few months now. There's only 3 books, so I haven't been reading the 3 books for a few months, although respect for people who have to go that slow. You're still reading, so that's awesome. But the 3rd one just came out. The 3rd book is called The Light of All That Falls. It is by James Islington is how I would pronounce his name. I really enjoy this series. I really like it. fans of Brandon Sanderson, check it out. So that is all for me this week. I hope you're having a great week, and tell me about the weather wherever you're at. And like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy this content. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.